All right, welcome back. It's been a
Is this
hot
on?
minute. Yeah, it's on. It's been a hot minute since.
We're just jumping straight in.
Well, I didn't even know what to call it.
Mm.
I was like, should we do the 3-pillar podcast?
Yeah, good starting point. But yeah, been a minute since we've done podcasting, or an episode together at least, and we've talked about it for a little while now. Just trying to get back into it and whatever. But obviously, different reasons have come about as to why we want to start it, and we're going to touch on that today. But basically, the reason we wanted to get in today and actually record an episode and get this going was we pretty much want to talk about a little bit about what's been happening with 3-pillar coaching, and then a little bit about what's coming, I guess, what's ahead.
What's next?
So basically, I was thinking we could, to jumpstart this episode, go back like 12 months, even longer. We can even go before.
I reckon go like start of COVID.
And then run through everything.
Because that'll make sense. So we basically, jump in, is when COVID hit first, our whole goal and vision of 3PC was to essentially open up more locations and become like a licensing model where we could, just have multiple chains of gyms, and that's just kind of the only route that we saw that would be feasible for the business to grow.
Day one, like when we were back at Kinetic, for people that remember back in those days, like when we first started the business, like the goal was always multiple gyms, like at least, we're talking at least 5+ in SA.
A few.
Like that was always the vision. That was like, we knew that was what we were working towards, right up until, even when COVID happened. So COVID would have happened so 2020 would have been when we were
like March 2020.
So we were here for about a year in our current building.
Yeah.
And then
shit just started kicking with us too. Like we
probably
had
our busiest.
we had like trainers. We were busy. It was like we were looking good to like pull the trigger on another spot almost.
Yeah, but even like obviously COVID happened. Everyone knows what happens there. And I think the goal was still always like, even right throughout COVID, it was always like, we're making this second gym happen. Like it's, we're quite vocal about it too. Like I think a lot of members sort of knew that's what the plan was. People were quite keen and whatever. And it wasn't even like COVID happening for like a lack, like we weren't like, all right, this is what's happening right now. Let's like, take a minute to stop and relax. It was sort of like, we were looking everywhere.
Yeah.
But purely because of like everything that happened throughout that period, we actually couldn't find a suitable location.
Because as people know, like basically what happened was everything kind of fell through the floor, and everyone then all of a sudden randomly, like 6 months later, everything went through the roof. So it's like warehouses have been snatched up by trades.
Usually construction and trade companies. Like they were like storing materials and stuff like that because they were booming. Like everyone was doing renos.
Stores and shit like that. Like people were getting warehouses for Pokemon, like statues and stuff. It was just weird. It was a weird time.
So we literally like, even if we tried our hardest, so like our goal was to like find a spot which was at least sort of 200 square meters. If not bigger, ideally, good car parking, all that sort of stuff, like to open a suitable location for a gym. Just absolutely nothing. And then if something became available, it was gone straight away, or you were going to be paying an arm and a leg. Like the gym industry itself, it's not like they're not high profit margins or anything like that. So you can't be, you can't be having obviously the most expensive overheads and stuff like that. You have to be smart about those things. So literally just wasn't possible. But we were still keen. Like, I don't think
we looked at so many different angles as well, just so, I don't know, a bit of like transparency with it. Like we're looking at getting investors in. We looked at like loans. We looked at so much crap in order to make it work.
Yeah. And I think it still would have been like the right path, but it was just like I said, it's not like for a lack of trying. It's just like it wasn't working. And it was like, if we did go ahead, it would have just been stupid. But then, things sort of started to wrap up, like COVID wise, like, not wrap up, started to die down. Like towards the end of it, like everything was opening back up. It was December last year. And then obviously that's when COVID hit us in Adelaide. And, when the start of COVID and everything like that, we were closed for a 12-week period there, I think at the longest. And then we opened back up again, like limited capacity, all that sort of jazz. And then we closed again for a little bit. It was on and off. And then but like, which was a tough period, but like we weren't growing. It was just stagnant, like like a lot of other businesses would have been. Obviously some were booming, some were, stagnant like us. Like, you can't like really.
It was kind of just like a blip of like
It's just
18
like nothing
months
happened.
almost. It was just a blip.
We're doing at-home workouts, so it's really hard to grow membership base or like grow the business.
Yeah, we had, I reckon, the week that COVID hit and everyone went into lockdown. Or was it when we got back? And it was like we had 5 people inquire for memberships, and then like that week,
yeah,
like
we had
everybody
to like contact them and be like, "Don't come in."
Yeah, and we're like, "Sorry, can't do it." And then it was just like you kind of just lost that as a lead because
just lost so much momentum. It was like a stagnant period. Anyway, we get back into the gym. Things are good. Like everything's going really well, going really busy. Like December last year, but then like probably hitting our peak. Like I reckon, like we were. In terms of membership wise, class capacity, like we were busy last year. And then that's when COVID sort of happened in Adelaide. And, obviously like there's a story of like, we had one of the members at the gym got COVID. This was when it was super new. Like, so within the first 60 cases of COVID in Adelaide, like one of our members got an Ollie, shout out.
I can't believe we didn't get on the news, to be honest. Like we were
so unlucky. And it was still like, that was still when like COVID was a scary thing for us here in SA. And basically, a whole bunch of people at the gym ended up catching it. We had to close down again.
We ended up having to go get tested. And we went and we were from there from like 8 p.m. till 5 a.m. like waiting in the line. Oh, it was the worst. Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to touch on that because like through everything that happened throughout COVID, it was actually that period onwards, I think December and then January of this year, even sort of February, where that we had the biggest impact from COVID. It was actually when people in SA were starting to catch it. And then there was just like this, it was like people were scared to go out and about. The numbers in the gym, like attendance wise, dropped off like massively.
Yeah, 100%.
Memberships were like dwindling a little bit as well. Like it made sense.
It wasn't even that. It was just like people would just suspend as well.
Yeah.
They'd just be like, oh, like I don't want to come in. Like I don't want to
catch COVID.
Yeah, I just don't want to catch COVID.
I don't want to pass it on to my kids. Yeah. Like all that sort of stuff. That was really common. So that throughout the whole period was probably our quietest over that 2.5 year span. But the goal was still, even then, to open a second gym. Yeah. And I remember it was the start of the year or late last year where we sent out like a letter and a memo to all the members saying we're going to be increasing our membership prices for a number of reasons. Like that was obviously one impact, the financial implications of COVID. But the other reason was purely to fuel our growth. Obviously, we made some changes here at the gym, added a whole bunch of new equipment and the open gym area. But then the second reason was to open the second gym.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was, and we said to the members at the start of the year, like, this is our goal for 2022. Our goal is to open a second gym and, we're going to do everything we can to make that happen. And that was absolutely the goal at the start of this year. But over the course of this year, and whether it's like, it's come from COVID or it's just like the industry itself, like the fitness industry has changed dramatically. Like
like I think this will play into your point is like you look at F45 6 years ago, it's like that was booming. Like that was the place to be. And now like recently, I think it was 2-3 months ago, like their share price, how it dropped and like F45 is just not what it used to be. And I think like group fitness gyms just aren't what they used to be either.
No, well, but the thing is, so in even pre-COVID, if you look around, how many group fitness gyms were out there?
Yeah.
There was a lot still, but very, very limited. And now,
there's so many.
There's a gym in every suburb. Where there's probably 3-4 gyms. Like I remember even when we first started, we said in this area, just gyms, not just group fitness gyms, but gyms alone, there was like 6 or 7. I think like within a 1 kilometer radius of us right now, there's probably like 3 or 4. Like they're just popping up everywhere. Yeah,
it just
it's like wildfire.
It's like the entrepreneurial phase that everybody went through like a few years ago. That's now like gyms is how it seems.
And it was like obviously made sense because it was a great business model and whatever. And then we sort of started to notice this because it's like, all right, we want to open the second location. Like, where do we go? What area is popping off? That sort of stuff. We start to look into all those things, but then you start to see all these other open gyms opening up, which is a good and a bad thing. But I think that would have been like maybe March, sort of April-ish, I reckon is like, it started to plant a seed in my head. It was more subconscious at the time where I was like questioning the route of do we want more gyms? Because it sort of was becoming and is becoming right now. If you look at all the competition out there, it's becoming a like they're all fighting each other now. All models are essentially fighting each other.
Yeah.
It'd be like, you know, McDonald's versus Hungry Jack's sort of war as to like who can open up the most and who can get the you know, sheer dominance in that space, in that field. So it was like, from our point of view and from what our goals were, like I started to question, was it the right move to be taking? Because obviously there's a massive risk with it, like financial risk. But I think even the biggest risk for us, which is still the case and always was the case, was for what we've built here, to go and replicate that in a second location is really hard.
Yeah.
To make sure we still maintain what we have here, the community we have here, the just the vibe of 3PC.
Like, so overwhelming because we had a chat like mid this year about it, and I was just like, it's just so overwhelming. Like how we're gonna replicate this place and put it into another spot
without losing
this place. Like, I couldn't figure out how we're gonna do it with our resources and whatever. It's like we don't have bucket loads of cash just to go in like most franchises do, and they'll be like, oh, like here are all the systems in place. Here's that, you know, like. And they've just got financial backing everywhere. Like they can bleed money for 6 to 8 months. Like we couldn't do that. Like
I was saying, like it's like when we first started, you know, F45 was the main franchise, and then there was a couple others starting to pop up. But then as we sort of opened up, you know, Body Fit became more prevalent. Fit Stop, Revel, Revo's coming in now. Like Step Fitness, like there's just literally blowing up like crazy. So it's like, is that the right path to take for our fundamental goal, which at the end of the day was to, you know, have like a positive impact on these people's lives?
Yeah. Our whole thing was, it's like up on the board behind the camera, is like to create happier and healthier humans. Like that was our mission from the get-go.
And we sort of like said, you know, like the happiness vibe is really integral part of that. Which is what we think was something we do so well here, you know, at 3PC, is like just creating a good time.
Yeah.
And it was like maintaining that. Is it worth it to try and go open multiple gyms? And then we start to look into it in a little bit more detail. And it's just like, financially, is it even worth it? And then, you know, just like logistically.
Yeah. It's like the headaches, like you're doubling your headaches. And is that worth it for an extra, you know, slim margin of...
Anyway, we're jumping ahead a bit here because I feel like...
we're there's a lot. We haven't done this podcast.
No. But this was like a seed which was sort of planted, and I was just starting to. These were the thoughts I was starting to have, and I know then you were quite similar. Like backtrack to middle of this year, or like May, June, July, June. Yeah. We went to Sydney, so there was a fitness expo in Sydney. Can't remember what it's called.
Fitness and wellness or something.
Yeah. So it was sort of for trade / like gym owners.
They had like two sections almost. So there was like an educational section for gym owners, and then they had like another section which was more for like the public, like general pop who wanted to like get home equipment and.
So I can't remember when this was, but this was like the middle of this year. I remember just prior to this,
July, I think,
just before we went over. I remember like we were starting to have, obviously we're always sort of talking about the growth and what's next for 3PC. And we started to, you know, talk about that a little bit more. And I remember we briefly discussed the idea of like, you know, what other avenues are available to us? What else should we look at doing? And I remember we really briefly discussed the idea of like, should we go down like the supplement path?
Yeah.
I remember very like early prior to doing that, to going across there, we brought that up. And then we pretty much squashed that idea. We didn't really talk about it much more. Anyway, we go to this expo in Sydney, go there the first day. It's pretty good. Actually, we didn't do much first day. Second day, we go there and a whole bunch of different talks there. So, you know, multiple gym owners. We got their franchise gym, like owners were there, basically telling their stories, their secrets, everything
Probably
like that.
The biggest one was like the Anytime Fitness co-founder. And she's just like a big player in the game.
She's been around the gym industry for a long time. Yeah. Then, you know, the Fit Stop CEO as well, and then a couple other people who were just sort of like in franchises.
Yeah. I was like Body Fit guy there as well.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
They were like still big names, but they weren't like huge.
Yeah. And then basically like just offering their advice, their insights, basically for people like us who are, in a position where they own a gym and they're trying to work out the next steps forwards. And I remember basically like they squashed every sort of idea or inkling we had of doing something different to what we're currently doing. And I remember that day, or that night, Will and I get back to the hotel room and we just like had a big chat about knuckling down and just going hard on opening these gyms. We, like sort of saying like, we got to stop worrying about all these fears that we have and just make it happen.
That was the first night. That was the second night.
Yeah.
Third night. Yeah.
But that was still, even when we came back from the trip, that was the plan.
I think though, like it was kind of the plan. Like we still had that, but basically what happened was all of the people that owned or had an investment in F45 or some sort of franchise gym all said like opening more gyms, we're keen to open more, like help more people. And then I just remember so clearly like the girl that sold out of Anytime Fitness and she said franchises are dying down.
Yeah,
and
well,
I
it's
think
because they've gone from nothing to everywhere.
Yeah, and she was like, it's going to be boutique gyms.
Yeah.
And even she was saying like, I'm investing my money into boutique gyms now.
Yeah.
So it's not like she was investing in
Not
a
the big
franchise.
chains.
Yeah. And I was like, it's weird that I just thought it was important to like address that she was preaching for like boutique gyms. And obviously everybody in, I feel like if you own a clothing brand and people are like, like t-shirts going out of fashion. If you own t-shirts, you're not going to be like, I don't think about t-shirts. You're going to try and push it still. Yeah.
And that was like, and that's where that whole other, I guess, vision opened up in our head of, why do we need multiple 3PC locations? Like, what does that actually do? Other than probably create a lot more headaches. And it was like, can we just work with what we got and make it better and focus on the one thing, try and really like focus on creating a really good product and almost like that sense of like what people have now. It's like they go to 3PC for 3PC, hence why they don't go anywhere else. It's like, can we just improve that and make it almost like a special experience? Is like 3PC, like it is that boutique feeling that you get to train here and nowhere else.
Yeah.
And then I guess, we came back from the trip with that vision in mind, a little bit more cemented, you reckon?
Yeah, I think it was just more, we were more like open to it and being like, we could potentially just do one gym and make it fucking
which is
sick.
hard because like, 3-4 years, pretty much 4 years is just always been about that second spot and getting that kicking. And now, like, I think we are definitely down the path of like, we're not going to be opening any more gyms, at least now. And it's like, obviously that happened because of COVID. Like that definitely probably would have halted things for us. And it's like, you got to look at that as a blessing, as obviously much headaches that was involved with it. It's probably been a good thing because it's probably steered us away from the route which we wanted to go down, but probably shouldn't have. Like,
and we spent a lot of like money on trying to find a different like location. Like I think we should put that in there. It's like we spent probably, could probably say it, like probably 8 to 10 grand worth, like of money trying to find a spot, and that's not even like anything.
Well, there was a couple times we were negotiating leases for buildings as well,
and then we had like, I think we had a lawyer look through like one contract or something, and it was like they ended up charging us for us. It was like $900. I was like,
anyway,
but just to the extent that like we were really pushing for it, you know what
absolutely.
I mean? Like,
but just going back to when we were in Sydney, I remember, like I said, prior to that, we had this idea of like going down the supplement path.
No, we did. Tell that story.
Well, so we basically in Sydney that we talked about it.
Yeah.
And then we were sort of getting keen on the idea. We're like, we spend so much money here on supplements already. Why not do it in-house and do it ourselves? Create a better product, a better brand, like a brand that people know and trust. And then I just remember one of the like talkers got up and he basically just said like, don't do this. I tried doing this. It's a stupid idea. And we were just like, nah, like fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. So that idea was completely squashed. And we got back to Sydney. We were focusing on the one gym, trying to make it really good. And then I reckon it would have been like a couple of weeks later. And I just remember keep thinking of that conversation. I was like, just do what he said. Don't think about that.
Yeah.
And I remember like I was watching this, YouTube video, some entrepreneur dude, and I remember calling you, and I was like, bro, I reckon
Yeah, you were up on like, you're on cloud
I was,
nine.
and I was just like, all the fucking, like, everything was aligning in my head. And I was like, I think we have to go down the route of opening
Yeah.
or building our own supplement company.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, that just, for so long, we've been so fixated on the idea of having to open multiple gyms because it felt like that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
This whole sort of trip and everything that happened sort of started to change our perspective as to realizing, no, we don't have to do that. Just because that's what other gyms have done in the past. They start with one and then they open multiple. Like we've heard of already so many other gym owners that we know who have tried to do that and said it's the wrong idea.
Yeah.
But we were so fixated on that one thing. As soon as we started to change our mindset and think, no, there are other possibilities out there. Our goal is to have a big impact and create, happier, healthier humans and have a positive impact on people's health. Is there another way of doing it, which is more scalable, more enjoyable? Like we can keep the 3PC identity brand, everything like that. And I remember I was just like, this seems like a very doable thing. Like, I mean, doable in terms of it's going to be fucking hard.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think this is what we should do.
Yeah.
And that would have been, like late July that conversation came up. And then you were sort of keen on it as well.
Yeah. I was keen on it. It was just like, I think I wasn't. And then I watched the video that you sent me and I was like, it makes sense. But then like, how do we go about it?
Yeah.
And I think it's been like, since late July, now we're in November. And it was like, I don't think we realized I don't reckon we jumped straight into it. We almost dabbled back and forward because we kind of got to a point where like, fuck, this is going to be a lot of work. And like,
it had to make sure, is this going to
feasible?
align with our goals? Is it the right,
and then
this is the hard thing. Is it the right move?
And then the one thing though that kind of helped and did push me over the edge a lot is, I won't name and shame, but the protein company, the supplement company that we currently use at the gym, they got merged. They merged with a bigger company and essentially their product just started going downhill a little bit. And I think the biggest thing, which is like, they couldn't argue with me on this point, it was just like even customer service. It was, we used to get a nice sturdy box and this is such a small thing, but like we used to get a nice sturdy box and when it rocked up to the door, it was like padded. It was just good quality and you like open it and like nothing was damaged or anything like that. Now when you get it, it looks like they've come from overseas, like the boxes, and they're all smashed up. And they if it wasn't protein that was in there and it was like a fragile product, 100% it would have broken. So I was like, that kind of led me to like, these guys are starting to stinge out and like, they don't want to help people anymore. They just kind of want to make dough from it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, I don't know, it was just like things were happening where it was like, it just felt more like this was a good path to go down. And I think obviously like, if we try and look at the impact that we're trying to have, even, from outside perspective, like just trying to have more of an impact outside of the gym space as well. Like obviously we try and do everything we can here when people are at the gym, but so much of people's lives and impact is what happens outside of the gym.
Yeah.
And, it's like, how do you provide value to that aspect of people's lives, which is sort of like what was, I guess, pushing us down this route a little bit more. And then I guess, look, it would like wrap up a long story because we could dibble and dabble on this stuff for a long time. But that's basically what has led us to building this new business to a degree, this new brand, which is that 3-pillar protein. It's such early days.
It's so early.
But that's why we wanted to. So I guess this is what the whole reason we're here is to like filming this podcast today is to give people, I guess, insight and a backstory as to where this has come about from and to where our goals and what we're moving towards in the future, which is this supplement company and creating our own supplements under the 3-pillar brand, which is very, very, very early days. Like we are in the absolute...
we haven't even tried all of our samples yet. It's that early.
Very early days, but we thought we want to like take people along this journey with us too. Yeah. And like share the story as to what it looks like and as to what we're trying to build, just because we think it would be, I don't know, I feel like it would be really cool to have insight into, I guess, what it is that we're trying to do and trying to build something. Yeah. Because we are trying to build something which is, like people can identify with and be a part of to a degree. and not just like another product which people see on the shelf or, don't know enough about.
Yeah.
And I guess, like it's so hard to say because we can't really give any more detail than that because
We don't know.
at this stage we've got a name.
Yeah.
And we've got an idea of, I guess, some products that we want to bring out and things like that. But we are literally in the manufacturing, well, not even like we're in the product development stage.
Yeah.
And starting with our very first product. And I guess that's just the goals now. The whole idea of this podcast was to, I guess, give people insight into where our goals have shifted to.
Yeah.
We've gone from wanting to open multiple gyms to now focusing on wanting to build one big, really good gym alongside this brand new supplement company. So we still want to have a big impact with as many people as possible, but we feel like multiple gyms isn't the way to do that. But we feel like this supplement company, we can probably reach more lives, probably than what multiple gyms could do anyway.
Yeah, 100%. And I also think, like, not negating from the gym either. The whole goal of it is like to have the supplement company there for people. Like we had members that have moved to like Henley Beach and they can't make it to the gym anymore. Yep. And then it's like, well, we can't impact their lives anymore because there's nothing else we can really do.
And people that still want to support us.
Yeah.
Like we get messages all the time from people, like you said, members who have moved away or, like just too far to make it.
And then the whole goal then of the gym in turn is like, we want to build it so it's bigger and better than any other gym in the area. So essentially it's just like a behemoth of a gym in the area. And like, if you were traveling or like you came through, it's like, you would want to stop at 3PC. Like as in, it's got, we've dabbled and dabbled in it, but it's like, it's got like maybe a 24/7 gym, group fitness classes, like nutrition, like all the 3 pillars of health, like essentially in that one spot.
And we find like, well, the thought process has been, if we can do that, we can, obviously retain and hopefully even build even more that community that we have, the vibe that we have here. And then, hopefully, transcend that vibe and what we have into this product, into this other company. And then hopefully spread that, to a wider audience without losing what we have here.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what's led us down this path. There's so much work to be done and like still like, it's not even like...
It's a big risk on our end as well. I think like that's the other thing as well. Is like it's kind of like we could just stay and try and build this place up and whatever, but it's like it just wasn't getting us any closer to our whole mission as what we set out to start
and
with.
I feel like obviously like, and people would know that, like in order to achieve certain goals, and especially if they're big goals, like there is going to be some level of risk which is needed. And that's, this is us sort of going outside of our comfort zone for sure, but it's doing something that we're passionate about, an industry that we're passionate about, something that we think we have a lot of knowledge in.
Because we take and have taken a lot of supplements throughout.
Yeah.
Like you and I take probably 8 to 10 separate supplements in a day.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Done it all.
Like, we've tried pretty much everything. Like we know products, we know what like works. Like pre-workout, for example, it's like, we know this is a bit of a tangent, but it's like pre-workout. We know exactly like what makes a good pre-workout, but the worst part is like a crash. You know what I mean?
It's the same thing. It's the same
like we know
reason as to why we started the gym and the training is like we know, a lot about training. We know what works. We know what people enjoy. Hence, what led us to that product. We thought we could have our take on it and make it a little bit better. And there's no best and worst type of exercise, but I feel like we have made a really good product with 3PC. And now it's the same thing with the supplement industry. We think we can do it a little bit better. And not even that it's better, it's like do it in our way.
Yeah.
And we think like the 3PC way is like, something which, it's just that the brand itself, doing it in our way, something, which represents like, trying to be better, like hard work, like, all those little fundamentals, which like, we want to have our take on it and then, try and grow something pretty special. But as I said, like still such early days and it's like, hence why we're jumping on today. So we could talk about that and take people along the ride for us, like, and share some of the journey. Like I said, because it's such early days and we have so much to do, it's also going to keep us accountable. Like, I guess we've literally it's November now, so probably 3 months sitting back and forth on this. And, we talked about this a couple of months ago, like, well, not even longer. and we were probably ready to make a move then, but it's just like there's just always that little thing holding you back. Like there's always that what if, like what if it's the wrong idea?
Yeah.
Because this is going to be a massive financial risk, but so there's always that little voice in the back of your head telling you not to do it.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to a point now where we've just pulled the trigger on it, and we're in product development stage. So far, even that's cost just shy of $4,000.
Yeah.
And that's just to sample some fucking...
To try some protein.
Anyway, we thought it would be cool to share the whole process with people.
I can say that, yeah.
What?
I can say that it's protein.
Yeah, so the first... the company is 3-pillar protein. The first product is going to be protein powder. Yeah. Still in development stages. But anyway, like I said, so much to do. But we're going to share that journey with you guys. But this is going to keep us accountable as well. And we're going to obviously try and upload a whole bunch of content showing people everything involved in the process. And we're talking like everything from brand design, logo design, website development.
Next product, like next podcast or like next video. Because I don't know if we do podcasts all the time. We may do like videos, whatever.
Post them on YouTube and social media. YouTube,
Instagram. But it'll probably be like getting your guys' insights on...
everything
like
from
logo,
like the design of the packaging, the flavors that we do, the products that we manufacture, the ingredients we use, like everything. And it's just like we're going to take people along every step of that journey, show you what it's like, and then hopefully that is just going to result in like a fucking like amazing product which people love.
Yeah,
and
like
people
so
are
many like
passionate
contributions to it. It's not just two dudes, you know what I mean? It's like a whole community getting behind it.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
All right.
I feel like that's pretty exciting. I feel like that's like, I don't know, hopefully a few people fucking pumped by that idea, but a few people are like, what the fuck? Idiots. You fucking idiots.
Like, you should have gone with another gym.
Yeah. But that's the path that we're going down. I hope people are really excited. I don't know when this is going to come out, but yeah, hopefully if people have questions about it, let us know. But we'll post. Yeah, the plan is we're going to be posting on YouTube and social media and stuff.
Maybe like
short form content, bit of longer form content like this. But so people will be able to follow along with that journey. You'll see it on our own social media too. So
be in the next week or so, I reckon, that we'll post this.
And where to follow us and whatnot. But pumped for the journey, pumped to take everyone along with it. And hopefully it's a bit of fun. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I feel like it's sick. Like it's so different that it's like, I'm keen for it.
But we'll obviously catch you guys whenever we do this again or in the next sort of video that we put out or content. But as I said, if you've got any questions, let us know and we'll catch you all soon.
Easy. See you guys. Also, if you've got a better name than 3-pillar protein, hit us up. We're pretty set on it. So, all right. See you, crew.